All right, we're looking at the shoulder. We easily recognize latissimus dorsi. It's a huge muscle coming down towards the humerus on the medial side. It's going to insert onto the anterior portion of the humerus if it's like the human. Okay? That's all latissimus dorsi. Remember, we had to separate it from xiphi humeralis, which comes around and runs deep to it. It goes that way to the humerus. Okay? Now, running... all right, let's not get to that yet. Let's go to the superficial muscles. Let's review the trapezius muscles. This muscle that's dorsal to latissimus dorsi is the spinotrapezius. This broad sheet of muscle, which is cut here, coming down to the spine and acromion process, is the acromiotrapezius. This muscle over here is the clavotrapezius. Let me flip it over, you'll see it better. This is clavotrapezius over here. It's this one long sheet of muscle. The clavicle is right here that divides it into, the clavicle is right under here, right under here, and this long sheet of muscle from the clavicle to the head region, to the neck and head, is the clavotrapezius. From the clavicle onto the arm is the clavobrachialis.
I can't see what the one that you're left on.
Clavobrachialis, from the clavicle to the arm. So it's the same sheet of muscle, but because the clavicle is there, it's named clavobrachialis, also known as clavodeltoid, and from the clavicle up, it's the clavotrapezius. So we've got that oriented here. Okay. Now, coming from the neck vertebra to the scapula is a horizontally running muscle called levator scapulae ventralis. Levator scapulae ventralis. That's going to the scapula. From the acromion process, which you can feel here, you can see it on the skeleton. From the acromion process down, there's a triangular muscle coming down like this. This is called the acromiodeltoid. Its fibers are running this way, coming at an angle like a V shape from the rest of the spine of the scapula is the spinodeltoid. So spinodeltoid, acromiodeltoid, levator scapulae ventralis. The posterior aspect of the humerus has the triceps wrapped around it. If we turn this now, so we're looking at the shoulder, let's go to levator scapulae ventralis, which is here. Just above that is a very thin sheet of muscle, which is going to the, right up here to this, just to the margin, the anterior margin of the scapula. This muscle is rhomboideus capitis. It's going from the head to the anterior margin of the scapula.
Can you please identify that muscle? What did I say? You said that was...
Next to it is a sheet of muscle going to the scapula, coming from a larger portion of the neck and vertebrae of the back. This is rhomboideus. In the human, you don't have a rhomboideus capitis. You have a rhomboideus minor, which doesn't go up to the head. There's big sheet like this that's divided into rhomboideus major and rhomboideus minor. But in the cat, this is rhomboideus capitis. This is rhomboideus, just plain old rhomboideus. Now, if we look in the interval here, which is not a natural interval, this was accidentally created. Underneath this, well, what I'm going to do first, before I do that, is I'm going to divide the acromiotrapezius, and I'm going to do that by making a cut straight down so that we can piece up the ends again. And I'm going to come down like this so that I can get to the scapular spine. And in doing that, I'm going to expose the underlying muscle, which is in the supraspinous fossa, and therefore its name must be
supraspinatus.
And here's supraspinatus filling the supraspinous fossa. If I look now to get to the infraspinous fossa, is a little more intricate. I'm trying not to destroy too much so that we have what to look at later. Well, before I do that, let's go back to latissimus dorsi. It's going to the humerus. See, it's coming up this way to the humerus. That's not part of it. It separates here. Let me open this up. Okay, let's free this up where it's becoming tendinous. It's going to attach to the humerus. So is this is all latissimus dorsi coming to the humerus. Now I'm going to reflect it over a little bit. Take it off the muscle that's lying under it. This other muscle that's coming now from the scapula, not from the vertebrae, this other muscle is teres major, right here. This is teres major right here, going parallel to latissimus dorsi towards the humerus. This is teres major. Okay. And then the only things left to show, well, let's see, infraspinatus is being covered by so much muscle here. I'm a little reluctant to cut it, but let me come in below the spine. I have some fascia here between acromiotrapezius and spinodeltoid. So let me try to open this up. And if I open this up, I'm getting in a plane between those superficial muscles and a muscle in the infraspinous fossa, which is all this one down here. And now we're looking in at infraspinatus. In the infraspinous fossa here. That's infraspinatus. The remaining muscles to look at in the shoulder are going to be subscapularis, which now you would think it's this stuff under the scapula, deep to the scapula, but there's another muscle that comes down from this border of the scapula, comes down, wraps around the rib cage, and attaches to the ribs. Now that muscle in the cat is called serratus ventralis, and in the human it's called serratus anterior. And where does it go? Well, we have to get to the rib cage to see it. And this is all fascia. Let me open this up.
Getting down to our mistakes.
So we're going to open all this up over here, and you see these finger-like muscles coming to the ribs? That's the insertion, that's the origin of serratus ventralis, but if we follow it up underneath, it's going to go to the scapula, and it's lying medial, deep to subscapularis, because it's like a sheet over here. The scapula is up here, see? So serratus ventralis comes up this way to the scapula. Here's the scapula. Serratus ventralis comes up like that, but the subscapular fossa is in here. So what I'm looking at this way, if I reflect the scapula and I'm external to serratus ventralis, I'm going to be up against subscapularis.
So that.
So if I want to ask you that on the practical, I could do something like this, stick a pin in here, say, what's that muscle?
And what is it?
Subscapularis. Okay.
Where?
Under the scapula. This is all scapula here.
Okay.
Now this is going to come up and attach to the scapula.
That's all what?
This is scapula. I'm holding the scapula.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that's subscapular.
So that's all of the shoulder muscles. Now it also shows you in the dissector the back muscles, but we're not. I think we better not do those because I don't want to disturb this relationship too much. And there's not much to see there. There's something called erector spinae, which in the cat, I don't know if it's called erector spinae, it might be called extensor spinae in the cat, but there are three parts. There's a spinalis closest to the spinal column, there's the longissimus a little more laterally, and there's the iliocostalis, which goes from the ilium to the ribs. So there's three channels, and if you arch your back, you know those two columns of muscle in your back on either side of the spinal cord? That's called the erector spinae complex, and it's made up of these three major.
What are the columns?
The column is collectively called the erector spinae. It's made up of three divisions of muscle: the spinalis, the longissimus, and the iliocostalis are parts of the erector spinae.
Aren't they broken up also? Aren't there different divisions?
Yeah, they have more divisions.
Should I stop
Get
the
to know
video?